Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon TVL show, the weekly podcast from Beacon DeFi, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I'm your host, your DeFi professor, Professor Chris. We've got a great show lined up for you as we tackle the news of the week that's relevant to you, our dear users in the world of on-chain investing. And hello to all of our podcast listeners as well. You can also get this show where you get all of your favorite podcasts from all over the world. Today on the show, we have Head of Growth for Taoshi, Bittensor Subnet number 8, Luke. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Very good. Glad to be back on the show. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. How's life over at the Taoshi? I know we have Ken here quite a bit, but you're the growth guy, so you tell me. How's things going?
Yeah, man. Things are great. I think obviously we're really busy, really trying to push forward with the upcoming launch of Glitch Financial. Got that in beta right now, so a lot of that's the main concentration. A lot of updates on the PTN side. So big things, man. Bittensor's moving up. I think growing mainstream here soon.
Love it. Yeah, and if any of you guys have been watching and signed up for the beta for Glitch Financial, let me know in the comments how that's been going. I'm excited to see, how that's going to work out and where we're going to be going from there. But I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to because I'm going to be seeing Luke, I'm going to be seeing Ken, I'm going to be seeing Robert from Talisman over there in Austin on Thursday and Friday and Saturday for Bittensor Endgame. It's the new summit, I guess, for Bittensor that's going to be happening every year. But looking forward to getting some good old Texas barbecue, maybe some Tex-Mex, maybe In-N-Out, or even better, a midnight burger from Whataburger. All things that are hard to find here in the Midwest. I feel like this is time for me to break out the taco hat.
All right.
Let me turn it this way, a little more Napoleon. Something we'll talk about here. Dad joke, but yes, I'm really excited. This will be the first ever summit for the fantastic Bittensor ecosystem. What was once a platform for building decentralized AI, now a thriving ecosystem of subnets, sub-subnets, and more. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but I'm happy to have Luke back on the show to be reunited after our travels together to Salt Lake City for permissionless.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, are you going to Brooklyn for permissionless in June?
No, I don't think we're gonna pull the trigger on that one this year. I'm still trying to figure out our engagements, but this is definitely the big one so far to kick the year off. I think we're really excited to kind of get into it with the Bittensor ecosystem, be able to network. Obviously, so many brilliant minds in addition to our team building there. So I think it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be a good weekend in Austin.
So are you bringing merch?
Unfortunately, no.
We're
not this time. Because we don't have the booth. I don't know where to store it all.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was thinking I need to bring another suitcase for merch, but I don't know if this is one of those types of merch swag conferences. So
yeah, I don't know either. I feel like no, but I guess we'll see. I'm gonna leave some space in my suitcase.
Yeah, I have like a foldable 32-liter duffel, like it packs in like this big, and I can fit that in my travel backpack, and as well, because it's not a very long trip at all. So
no.
Yeah, excited to see you guys there. Excited to hang out and just get to meet a whole lot of people with regards to Bittensor. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. But one thing that I can talk about from what we talked about in Salt Lake City, Luke, my friend, we might want to even consider launching curds. And what I mean by curds, yeah, because right now, today, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, let me bring up the news. We'll start with this today. Today is the TGE for Zora. I might probably make this a little bit bigger so people can actually read. Anybody who's listening on the podcast, I'm making the tweet center larger for Zora, which is a layer 2 blockchain in the OP superchain, OP mainnet. Started out, well, the way I remember Zora is that it was a project initially that allowed independent artists to mint and distribute NFTs. Base adjacent within the OP superchain, but they've pivoted. They've got the backing of Base and of course Coinbase with that to now pivot to now being a social network blockchain. And apparently my, well, it's all borked, I guess, that the internet right now. But check your wallets. There was an airdrop to a lot of people in the ecosystem. I mean, let's put it this way: it's not the biggest airdrop, but if you happen to use Zora quite a bit, like if you happen to be in the base blockchain system and minted something on Farcaster or just minted some of these NFTs they've put out, you may get a decent amount. I know several people who have 6 figures in Zora in their wallets.
I'm missing out.
I mean, it's just one of those things, right? It's either you hold it or you cash it out, because I'm looking to see if what are they going to do to bring value to Zora as a coin. So you can see people are selling here and people are putting things together, like this basis for everyone meme coin that kind of went crazy. But ultimately what they're doing, Luke, is that they're going to be tokenizing these posts. So you can make a post of images, you can just actually write a post, content, and then you can tokenize that as a coin. Everything in Zora will be able to be tokenized. So, you know,
it's a fascinating concept.
It is. And while Base kind of went to some interestingly weird marketing over the last week, this Base is for everyone. They did all kinds of really weird. It just got weird. Like when they posted Bases for pimps, I was like, we kind of went to the route, like Bases for taco hat wearing dudes. I'd be like, yes, tokenize me, let's do it. But yeah, so hopefully, you know, I was gonna sell, but now I'm like, I don't know if I should sell, because if it's gonna cost Zora to post, and I guess Zora is gonna be possibly the, you know, the new gas or governance token for the Zora chain. Currently it's ETH. But in order to post, to get traction that you need to tokenize, you'll need to use Zora. That brings some value to the coin. So
absolutely,
the ability to then sell your, you know, tokenize and sell your content, whether you're a journalist, whether you're an artist, whether you're a video content creator. Why am I keeping this on a white screen for anybody who's watching? But Base has really kind of taken over this campaign and just tokenizing everything on their chain as Zora content. So, you know, Jesse Pollock, head of Base, had to walk back some things that kind of happened over the last week that got kind of weird, got people kind of scratching their head. But overall, yeah, the point where all social network posts are coins is an interesting idea. Hopefully people can come through and find a way to make money off some of their content. So if you're a content creator, consider looking into Zora, looking into even something like IP blockchain with Story Protocol. That's also another group that I met at Denver, and you know, they debuted at DevCon in Thailand. So I just want to get your opinion, Luke, you know, taking me seriously with this taco on my head. How do you feel about having a nice decentralized economy for creators when a lot of them frankly haven't really taken off?
Yeah, I think it's a really fascinating concept, right? Like, I think it kind of plays into the idea that, you know, we've seen in tokenizing everything, like tokenizing, you know, real estate and physical tangible assets. But, you know, there's so much nonsense on the internet nowadays, including, you know, misleading or just straight up untruthful posts. I think it could be even dangerous in some sense to kind of tokenize some of these social posts and content. But also, there's the other side of it where, you know, you're promoting really good things too. You know, whether it's educational or just for humor, or other things like that. So I can see a lot of different angles that you can kind of play into this idea of tokenizing social content. And I hadn't heard of this prior to, you know, our call today, so I'm interested to kind of see how it plays out. Like I said, really, you know, I think it's a novel concept for sure.
Yeah, and the fact that they have Coinbase and Base behind it, I think ultimately helps them, right?
It
This
definitely
is
adds legitimacy for sure.
exactly, like, because there are other groups like Lens Protocol, which is, you know, formerly on Polygon from the Aave group. Now it's built on top of ZK Sync. There's other chains out there, other projects that are that have stuff like this. Like Farcaster, of course, is tokenization through other projects
Mhm.
where you can earn off of your content. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's not just memes and NFTs. I'm hoping that, if we were going to take an actual video where we run through something like one of our free trainings to tokenize that, I think that would be really cool. If you're a content creator, and this is something that you're into, like, we have a lot of people who like doing vibe coding right now. If you want to turn a vibe coding session into a tokenized coin, because you can do that with Zora, give it a try. Let me know how it goes. I'm really excited to kind of see where this goes, to be quite honest. And I'm
Yeah, I hope
hoping
it's
that,
not the memes route. I really hope
yes.
it's not. Too much mind share on that this last
You think
or
so?
this cycle, really. I think so, yeah.
Let's check out the markets. We haven't had a chance to check out the markets yet. BTC, my guys. Oh, look at this rally. Look at this. I'm not even gonna call it a V. Yeah, let's call it a V-shaped recovery. Look at that.
A little bit.
A little bit. I mean, granted, I need to zoom out quite a bit more. So let's go 3 months. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at a very interesting recovery, all things considering, from where we were at the beginning of really just started the sell off and then the trade war happening. So uh interesting to see where we're going with regards to the charts. Everything is looking up. Bitcoin reclaiming 93 was a pretty big deal. A lot of shorts got wrecked right in
Yep.
this section right here.
I think as well, we're kind of seeing an interesting larger trend in that Bitcoin has kind of decoupled in
Yes.
a certain way compared to the S&P 500.
Hmm.
When you look at some of these recent outsized moves in the last 5 or so years where the S&P drops a fair amount, Bitcoin would probably have been in the 50s, 60s, maybe low 70s, which, we did hit the mid 70s, but you would have expected us to see 50s or 60s. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I've, looked into an analysis on it. But, it's shown historically unique strength here, which is really cool to see. I think, if Bitcoin is able to continue doing that, it's, maybe it'll realize its prophecy as the digital gold.
Agreed. Karen with a great comment. I think DeFi is great for the creators. I completely agree. Hopefully we can build a creator economy as we're seeing here on Bubbles this week. A lot of what short squeeze on Trump. Did I just see a short squeeze on Trump?
I think so.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness. All of you doubters. I don't even know what to say about this, honestly. The fact that we're at, we're 1349 from where we were. I mean, I guess folding does this. Who knows? I don't even know what to think about this. But we're looking at some big gains, not just from Trump. Sui is actually on the rise as well. This is good to see. They're having a breakout. This is just within the last 24 hours. We're seeing quite a jump for Sui. And people are flocking that way, even to things like Walrus. We'll talk about Sui a little bit, as well as the BTC moves in just a little bit. But we're seeing a lot of nice green here. What's interesting, and we've been talking about this specifically, Luke, is the gold coins are, of course, they're pegged to gold, so of course they're
Right.
going to reflect that. But both Tether's gold and Paxos gold down 3%, and I think this is just more of a reflection with the market turning back up the other way, at least on the S&P 500 side. That we'll see more of that. Looking at the week, again, we're seeing a lot of green, which is good to see. There's a lot of people getting more interest in the market. A lot of sentiment is shifting, even in the face of everything that's going on. Like as you mentioned, we're seeing this decoupling happen. Builders are building. They're like, who cares? VCs are still funding. We're still getting more people looking in and out to bring crypto to the forefront, which would be a
Yeah.
little
I
bit of
think
a. Go ahead.
I think this might kind of mark a historical shift and deviation. I mean, obviously, we know that institutions coming in is going to fundamentally change, Bitcoin cycles. I don't necessarily think that 4-year cycles are going to be as much of a factor anymore.
Nope, it's
But
gone.
it's fascinating to see this kind of moment happening in real time. Obviously, historic levels of volatility due to the Trump tweets and tariffs. But seeing Bitcoin be this resilient in this moment is really cool. I think the one thing that interests me too still is, what happens if we do in fact get a global recession? How does Bitcoin
Yeah.
respond? Because Bitcoin's never seen that.
Nope.
So, but hey, we'll keep writing the story, I guess. Time
Yeah,
goes
I mean,
on.
we're gonna see a supreme hyperinflationary event, right? So ultimately, if you've been DCAing, like a lot of people in our group do, where you just buy regardless of the price and dollar cost
Mm.
average in, then none of this matters. This was all part of the story. But for all of you who've been shook out of being paper hands, shame on you, because institutions are buying up all your Bitcoin. And we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But yeah, checking out the market. And of course, hopefully, with Zora, if you get a good one, let us know. We want to know that our, and for a lot of people, since they took 2 snapshots, let me bring up the tweet for that. It was that's a long snapshot from January 1st, 2020 up until March 3rd, 2025.
Seriously.
I don't know. Sure. And then so if you got a decent amount, let me know. I think it opened roughly around 2 cents. I haven't seen where it's at now, but ultimately when we see coins like this, a lot of people are going to sell, and then that's why a lot of airdrops get the label as burgers, right? Because based on how good it is, you can get a good burger or not a good burger, or half of a burger. In this case, based on my personal whatever they rewarded me for, because I have done quite a few NFTs on Zora. I have enough to possibly get a meal at McDonald's for myself and 2 of my kids if I use my McDonald's rewards in my app for free fries, or 20% off my order if I do a mobile McDelivery order, that type of thing. Do you do that? Do you use the McDonald's app?
Hell yeah. You
Hell
gotta use the
yeah.
app. You gotta get the deals. I love the Chipotle app. That's the one I'm most
There
loyal
you
to.
go. There you go. I need to actually order from Chipotle on the app. I haven't tried, but I hear the free guac through the app is always a
Yep.
winner.
Yep, that's the one.
That's the one. That's the power. That's the pro tip, guys. If you've taken nothing away, especially on the podcast, if you've taken nothing away listening to us on your headphones, know that that's where it's at the Chipotle app. Do you know they're still owned 49% by McDonald's, by the way?
I didn't even know they were owned any by McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah. There's a whole
Wow.
story. I'll tell you the whole story in Austin. It's pretty funny, because there's 2 guys. One left and created Qdoba, and then anyway, I know way too much about food. It shows. It's fun.
Taco hat.
There we go. Speaking of taco hat and Hispanic culture, tell me your thoughts about Puerto Rico, Luke.
I've never been, but I hear they have good tax benefits, and
There we
that's
go, brother.
obviously an interesting.
What a segue.
I'd like to go.
I would love to. I mean, I know a lot of people who live in Puerto Rico specifically for the crypto gains loophole. So, New York rep, Nydia Velasquez, what are you doing? Trying to push forward a bill that will close the crypto gains loophole on the U.S. annexed island nation of Puerto Rico. Currently, if you are a PR resident, you pay 0%. You are very close to 0 in crypto tax, and you only pay 4% in capital gains. That's really the real reason why people move to Puerto Rico, is specifically for that. Now, you have to live there 181 days out of the year. So a lot of people go there part-time. I'd like to go there from November to April personally, right after the last of the hurricanes move through. But yeah, if this pushes through, I mean, if I live in Dorado, or if I live in in Condado or some of these other areas, I might be looking to move to like Portugal or Cayman or anywhere like that.
Right.
Just like,
You lose the entire benefit.
yeah, you're just gonna see this huge exodus from Puerto Rico to other places if you do that. So, I mean, I don't think you'd want that to happen to your local economy. That's just me personally. I mean, yes, the reason why you have that is just for the tourism, as well as rich people coming and living in your island. Now, yeah, you can say that kind of can create a bad thing, especially like if you look at places like Hawaii or something like that, where native Hawaiians live like 8 to 10 people a house because of people coming in and taking advantage of that. But I don't know, man. Tell me what you think about living in a tax advantaged area. Would you do it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If I had the money to do so, but that's the goal, right? You got to
Yeah.
get to that point first, and I mean, if they're giving us the benefit, why wouldn't you take it? So, Puerto Rico's beautiful from everything I know. So
I lived there in the
It's
mid 80s.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate too, because just as a general theme, I feel like the U.S. could really incentivize crypto innovation by reducing taxes and capital gains taxes on just general United States residents if we had like clear regulatory framework. But I mean, it's obviously just you don't really know what's going on, and it's confusing, and we tax at such a high rate it doesn't incentivize that home growth. So
Exactly. Like if they even if they just raise the crypto tax to like 4% to match the capital gains and allow you to pay it in crypto, who wouldn't take advantage of that, right?
right, people. I mean, it's also too frustrating when you think about it. It's like if you lose, that's your risk, but if you win, that's the IRS's money. You're taxed on your income, and you take your income, you trade, you're taxed on it. It's like, come on.
I have feelings on that. I have a lot of feelings about the IRS, but we're not. That's outside the scope of this show. But
Me too.
yeah, make sure you file your extension if you don't want to give the IRS your money. We'll leave it at that. We'll see what happens if there's even an IRS in 6 months. But in any case, uh, let's talk about something interesting. One thing. Do you know much about DePIN, Luke?
A little bit.
All right. So, did you know that there's DePIN in space?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Exactly. This is something new for me too. I when I saw this, I was shocked. Uh, so this
Oh
is
wow.
interesting. So SpaceCoin is a thing, and I'm like, wow. All I could think of when I heard SpaceCoin is like Space Ghost, like when he was on the Cartoon Network with the talk show. That version, the much cooler version, in my opinion. Uh, but apparently, what SpaceCoin is doing, this is a DePIN project, by the way, meaning anyone can get into it. The idea is that they're having LEO or low Earth orbit nano satellites, much like the Starlink satellites that are up there. And basically, what they do is, like Starlink, they beam censorship resistant direct to device internet access in underserved regions. I think it's really cool. Uh, Kind of like Lunex, which was it's an older project from Google, where they actually took high altitude weather balloons and used them as relays to push internet signal to the ground. And yeah, it was. I'm not. I think they're still around in some areas, but the ability to have you know decentralized internet is there's a couple of projects doing that first of all in DePIN, but doing it using Earth satellites, that's new. They do have an L1 built on top to serve SpaceCoin called Credit Coin, where users can pay for their bandwidth on the service. But the interesting part about this is they're getting the legitimacy by having Jim Cantrell, a veteran in this space. He's worked at SpaceX, he's worked at NASA, he's worked for the French Space Agency, multiple other aerospace companies. He's now on their advisory board. Um, he believes in decentralizing the entire space industry. I think that's a really cool idea to do that with adjacent tech. I'm really bullish on that. Uh, Interestingly, he has a specialty in space transport. I think I saw that somewhere. I was like, really?
Oh,
Huh.
I guess this is super cool. This is the kind of stuff that we need to use crypto for, not
I
like
agree.
Cardano. Sorry, Cardano holders, but I still don't know what it. I've been around 5 years. I still don't know what it does.
Do you have some? Do you got some beef with the ADA community?
No, no, I just don't know what it does.
That's okay. I don't think most of them know either, to be quite honest. Don't come for me. But really cool is that they've actually launched a satellite already. There's one up. It went up with the December SpaceX rocket. That's now in orbit. So they're actually going to have three more going up later this year. So have you ever? So this, I think that's fascinating. Have you ever seen the Starlink constellation go through in the sky?
I think maybe once or twice I've seen them like in the air, but like, oh, that you can tell that's a Starlink. But
Yeah.
I've lived in New York for the last 2 years, so that doesn't help my case and being able to see it.
Oh, you mean
Now,
all that
now,
light pollution?
yeah, now back in the Midwest, so I think we'll get some of that this summer.
Yeah, awesome. So what's cool is that they're doing all the blockchain stuff. They're apparently integrating with SUI for smart contracts and then using SUI's new Walrus protocol for decentralized storage. So uh, that's really interesting to see them moving forward. They're going to be scaling obviously with stuff like this. So I am all about going in together on an LEO satellite, that we can use. That's our own personal internet. We can spray paint it, beacon blue and put gold LEDs on it, and put, or just half beacon, half Taoshi. I would be down for that for sure.
What's the point of being in crypto if we're not doing stuff like that, right?
Exactly. I mean, if you can't own a satellite in the sky and wear a taco hat while you're on a podcast, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Not living correctly. That's my
Exactly.
answer.
I'm glad that we see eye to eye on this for sure.
We are.
So I wanted to ask you, because you are a very good proficient trader, Luke. Have you ever traded Fartcoin?
Um, a little bit. Yeah, I think a little bit.
What are your thoughts about Fartcoin?
I have mixed feelings about the entire Solana ecosystem, including Fartcoin. But I'm all for communities that want to, if they're going to push something that they believe in, I'm all for it. And I know Fartcoin's been on the up and up. I thought it was going to go to zero. I was
You and me
wrong.
both.
I thought when I was at like 400 mil, I thought it was going to zero, but now we're moving.
I mean, ultimately, more projects need Fartcoin energy. It's very simple. When people ask me what keeps Bitcoin doing well, I'm like, it's because they're a cult.
Mm-hmm.
The cult of Bitcoin is what's going to keep Bitcoin running forever. Just like for whatever reason, the cult of Fartcoin is going to keep them going for practically ever. Because I had seen what I called the death of Fartcoin multiple times over the last 8 months. But here we are, back above $1 billion in market cap, flipping bonk as the leading Solana meme coin with almost 150,000 holders.
What can you even say?
Yeah, what can you even say?
Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. I read someone tweeted that were like, Fartcoin is what Murad wants SPX 6900 to be, which I agree with. That's
Sure.
Fartcoin is the cult coin, and I think to some extent it's even like the simpler and the more ridiculous it is, the better it performs. Like it's just nonsense. It works great.
Yeah, the worst thing that could happen to Fartcoin, honestly, is utility. To be quite honest, the moment that utility comes for Fartcoin, I think that's the death march heading to zero, because there's a novelty about the giggles about just saying the word Fartcoin, right? It's not an inflation hedge. It's not, it's none of these other things that people are trying to praise it to be. It's an experiment that, well, it is what it is, as we like to say in this space.
It's like Dogecoin. Does Dogecoin have any utility at all? I don't think so.
No, not yet. I mean, you can mine it. You can. That's the thing. I mean, I wonder if you're ever going to be able to mine Fartcoin.
Given that it was probably a Solana launch coin.
Yeah, I mean, it's an AI. It's an AI based coin, so no. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we do have in our title today about big Bitcoin, so let's kind of talk about big Bitcoin for a little bit. A lot of capitalists, a lot of capitalists too, but a lot of catalysts are contributing to this rise. Oh my God, we're almost going to touch 94. We did touch 94.
Unbelievable.
Let's talk about why this has probably happened. We can start with the fact that we have a new SEC chairman who's pro Bitcoin, pro crypto, and that's Paul Atkins. They had a roundtable on the 11th, which was, I guess, some type of really just way to get people together to start talking. They're going to have a much more earnest roundtable this Friday on the 25th. So we'll see what happens here, and what he's going to gain, because I think he's still just trying to get the temperature of what's going on in this space, right? So ultimately, that's good for Bitcoin. Hearing about multiple projects like Arch raising $13 in Series A funding to build a permissionless Bitcoin denominated world on layer 1 Bitcoin. Whereas if we hear things like Citria, for example, which got 14 million, I think also led by Pantera. Nope, it was not led by Pantera. It was led by Echo and Founders Fund. They're doing zero knowledge rollups, I believe, also on Bitcoin layer 1. So there is with some EVM pieces in there. So it's different than Arch. But with Bitcoin 2025 coming up at the end of next month, and we plan to be there, we're seeing an interesting rise, I think would be the word to use. Because 6 months ago, nobody had any idea what was going to happen with Bitcoin, or what we call Bitcoin Fi. And now we're in a situation where, Bitcoin could be doing some unbelievably interesting things. One thing I'd also want to point out is Bitcoin ETF inflows, Luke, also leading the way to, with BlackRock's probably, it says here, Eric Balkunas says that it's doing 90% of the lifting. So yeah, I think we're getting more mainstream interest in institutional and mainstream interest in exposure to BTC.
It's interesting. I would even play a little bit of devil's advocate, just taking the other side. I read an analysis on this yesterday. Basically the theory was that the rise is kind of spurred by, almost like you can think of it as kind of a glimmer of hope from Trump yesterday with the tariffs and saying he's not going to play hardball, and that's why you kind of see this slingshot yesterday. I don't necessarily agree. I'm pretty neutral here, but just an interesting perspective to consider. I mean, obviously, we all want crypto to succeed, so I'm not bearish. Just something to think about, kind of. It seems to me like there's still some economic instability as this trade war is ongoing. But I think the next year really should be telling. I wish I had a crystal ball, but
I wish I did too. I think the hardest part is that the longer this stuff takes to congeal, I guess would be the word to use, I think the worse it's going to be overall for the overall world economy. I think
agree.
the speed and just the force of these tariffs were meant to do a very quick move where people are like, okay, yes, let's talk. It's been almost a month now, right? So, and it's nothing has changed. In fact, he's taken the gas pedal off. So really, it's kind of back to the typical thing that he likes to do, which is he tells you exactly what he's doing. He does it. It's more of a litmus test to see how people think about it, and either he doubles down or he backs off, which he did for 90 days, right?
Yeah.
So, and even worse, he took away the consumer electronics tariffs. To me, I was like, what are we doing here? You're not taxing anybody on consumer electronics, then what was the point? Because that's what most people are spending their money on, regardless of how people feel about things. Yeah, so ultimately, I have some content out there. This is all about him trying to force a situation where Chairman Powell is going to cut rates, because frankly, they have to refinance the 2025 debt, and they need to do it in the best terms possible.
I think what's interesting too is, like, in the last handful of years, you could look at price and you'd probably be able to say, like, okay, it's pretty straightforward what scenarios might play out in the next year. Whereas now I can look at price, I'm like, price could be there's a scenario where price could be at 150K in a year, and it also could be at 50K, and I have no idea. Like, I genuinely have no clue.
It probably wouldn't look any different, to be quite honest.
To me, it seems like the world economy, especially the U.S. stock market, has been kind of overheated for quite some time. Like, maybe at some point we're going to have a recession, Is it in a year? Is it 5 years, 3 years, 10 years? I don't know. It'll come. It's just a matter of when. And where does Bitcoin go before that too? That obviously kind of influences the price at which, you're going to get the best buying opportunities, where you could get the generational buying opportunity. So we'll
And I
see,
think,
man.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think what's crazy is that you may have several paths here. You could have Bitcoin continuing to move as that store of value, and then everything else moving similarly, but not as quickly, not as parabolic, due to things like RWAs. Right? We have all of this infrastructure being built for institutions to come down. Policy is relaxed, oversight's relaxed. Now, any institution who wants can come down to do RWA stablecoins, tokenize everything. That's
I
essentially
know
what
I know
Larry.
Larry Fink has talked
That's
about
what
it.
he wants to do. He wants to bring everything on chain. Base is bringing Coinbase on chain in Q3. I mean, they've been building all of these rails for the last 6 to 8 months just so that it can even be something that can happen, and most likely it will happen. Right? I don't have it on the agenda today, but Athena working with Securitize, which is the partner of BlackRock, to have a brand new blockchain just for RWA stablecoins called Convergence, and it's built on top of Arbitrum Layer 2. So that's in testnet right now, and we're going to start seeing blockchains that are, yes, they'll be KYC'd, but they'll be stable because they're going to be backed by trillions of dollars in assets under
Yep.
management. So it's like, who needs a bank when I can go on chain fairly easily through what's going to be built in the next 3 to 6 months and get 8 to 20%,
No, absolutely.
you know? So yeah, you guys are early if you're watching. If you're watching and you
Still,
don't have any idea
still
what we're talking about, I would like to take a second to shout out our community. Total Value Locked from Beacon DeFi. This is our free group. Feel free to check us out. Absolutely free. Hundreds of people, thousands of people are coming and flocking to us every single
millions.
day. Millions. I almost did a rock shout out, but I didn't do that. What I would love for you to do, check us out, school.com/beacon. Like I said, it's absolutely free to go check out. Check out our Start Here post, which is at the top, and you'll get a message from myself and our co-founder Andrew. And then check out we have these 3 pathways, and a new product I'll talk about in just a little bit. And you can go check out our introduction to DeFi course and pretty much get all of the information you need to at least get your toes wet. See if this is something you want to get into. And yeah, absolutely free. Join the great community we have. We're talking about all kinds of great stuff. We have a free training that happens every Friday. We have this call every Wednesday at 1 p.m. where we get the best minds in the business to talk about what's going on in the news. Learn about decentralized finance. Why hold your coins when you can actually have them working for you? Obviously, trading is trading, but this is DeFi, decentralized finance, and do more with your coins. Come check us out, school.com/beacon. So what I wanted to point out as well is this chart, Luke. And this is an interesting correlation of where Bitcoin has gone with regards to the S&P 500 and gold, of course.
Digital gold, baby.
Digital gold, baby. Orange coin good, gold coin good. But NASDAQ and Dixie's is on the floor right now with regards to dollar strength. So one could say that this is all that was supposed to happen, right? If you look at it and you're like, is it really, or is it just some really interesting policy decisions that didn't go quite the way that they thought it would, and now we're getting a supreme decoupling, especially if you think about what how the bond trade's working right now, with the 10-year bond just being at a huge high right now, to the point where they're talking about a super bond, which is a 100-year bond for U.S. debt. All these things that are coming out, trying to make sense of how we can find a way to get the Dixie back up above, back on par with the pound, back on par with the euro. They're surely making a great case for this,
Yeah.
and with regards to the administration, they've got a winning hand on both sides. which is kind of the ingenious part of it. They're going to win either way.
Yeah, you like him or not, he knows how to negotiate a deal. Usually,
He sure does. The art of the deal,
Usually.
right?
Yeah, it's funny too because he outlines how he does it.
Oh yeah.
It's 5 steps, and people don't read or understand that. That's why you see him come out with such like a bold stance that it kind of catches people off guard, which is like we're putting 100% tariffs on China. It's just the way he does things.
Yep.
It's interesting. It's a fascinating case study to watch for sure in negotiation.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what. And if you know the history of Scott Bessent, specifically with what he and George Soros did with the British pound back in the 90s, this is not new. This is not new at all. So if you want to do some research and learn about that, definitely check that out. But one thing about Bitcoin is that it is very close. And at one point, it did flip Google in the last 2 days in terms
Oh,
of
wow.
market cap. Yeah, think about that. Bitcoin is about to jump Silver, Google, and Amazon in market cap as an asset.
Still so early.
I know, still so early, and I get people all the time. Bitcoin's a scam. Bitcoin's a Ponzi.
Wait,
So,
Apple's back above Nvidia?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, when you compare, it's crazy when you see the entire stock market move like more than the entire market cap of crypto in one day.
I know. Yeah.
Nuts.
I mean, DeepSeek really hurt Nvidia, right? I think that's probably the big thing is that Nvidia was really, really injured by the move from DeepSeek, and now it's done nothing but accelerated everything, which is, I guess, a good thing. I mean, it'll be interesting for when we talk about this in Austin for Bittensor, with
Yeah,
regards to
no, absolutely.
decentralized AI. The market for AI is moving at a lightning pace. I mean, I just saw something and I didn't put in the thing where a Chinese company has now created memory chips that put SSDs and DRAM to shame. And I'm like,
Wow.
whoa, 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 whoa. And then people with quantum computing. I mean, these are all things. It's going to come to a point in the road where it's just going to be instant access for everybody to anything you're ever going to need. Now, are we looking at the possibility of, robots coming through and, ruling over us like in the Matrix? I don't think so. But at least not in our lifetime.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully
You never
not.
know.
You
They'll
never
write
know.
it off. Be nice to the AI.
Be nice to the AI. One of my favorite games, Detroit Become Human, talks about this a lot. The story of androids being created to help technology, and then suddenly they become sentient. It's bound to happen if you give them the right parameters. So, yeah, hopefully I'm long gone by that time. But gold still on a tear. Congratulations to all the gold bugs out there who are, going to gold as a safe haven asset, which, bonds used to be that way too. I guess we'll see how this all rolls out. But Bitcoin, guys, if you don't know a lot about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a store of value. It's for real. It's 21 million tokens. Never going to be any more than that. Did I say million? Billion. And that's it.
You can still mine more gold too.
Yeah, you can still mine more gold.
At some point, you can't mine any more Bitcoin.
That's true. Yep. Yeah. I'm excited.
Fascinating to me that Apple is the highest by market cap. I don't feel like they have any upward growth trajectory at all with their products. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
No, I know. It's just fascinating because the majority of their market cap comes from the US. You go overseas, most people don't use Apple.
No,
it's
exactly.
A specific subset that's been grown in this specific ecosystem that's made them unbelievably powerful.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're going to develop that would add to their value. I mean, the goggles kind of flopped from my
understanding. The Vision. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I hear even like if they did the folding iPhone, I don't know if that would. I mean, that could, but I don't think it will.
Either.
Yeah, I mean, they're watch all the views go away now that I've taken the taco hat off. The reason why I think they do so well is because they make a lot of regular productivity activities manageable, easy, if you even want to call it that. just a better experience, right? Because at its core, Apple with Mac OS, it's a Unix distribution. It's the prettiest Unix distribution ever, and it works well. It's a great experience, and that's why people use it. They've cracked the code on that. Whether it be, buying an iPhone, getting an Apple Watch, using an iPad, yeah, anything Apple, you're going to get a decent experience out of it. They fumbled a bit with the Vision Pro, but I think there's going to be things in the future that make it a little bit better. So, so before we talk about Bittensor Endgame, I did want to talk about two quick things. First, I wanted to talk about our partner. Give me 1 second, brother. I'm gonna make myself big here for this part. Let me turn off this. Actually, you know what? Let's bring you back. Yay!
There we are.
There we are. So one of our newest partners is disrupting the auto insurance industry. That's our friends at One Llama. Let me bring the screen up for One Llama. Come on, mouse. So our friends at One Llama have been hard at work in Michigan, signing up customers, partners, and affiliates in the auto capital of the world. It's simple, guys. Are you tired of paying more for auto insurance just because someone else crashed? Thanks to our new friends at One Llama, they reward safe drivers. They don't punish them. One Llama's mutual coverage model gives you back power and perks when you drive smart. Skip the fine print, keep the coins. Join the herd at onellama.com using our referral code here, and you'll start saving money every 6 months for using it. Safe drivers, your time is now. I can tell you, and I'm just telling you this full transparency, I am not just an affiliate, I'm also a customer. I met them at ETH Denver. I love their story, love what they're trying to do. And the idea that you can actually earn, a portion of your premium back just for driving safe for 6 months, easy win. And I can tell you, if you're one of the first 500 users, you're going to get extra benefits, and you're in line for their airdrop for governance and all kinds of good stuff. They're actually getting pretty close to signing up all 500 users for this first phase. So if you want to be part of that first phase, or at least just check it out and see if there's something that's good for you, please use our link, join.onellama.com/Beacon DeFi. If you are on the podcast, join, JOIN, One Llama, ONELLAMA.com/Beacon DeFi. I'll also put it here in the chat.
Chris, be one of the good news for you.
What's that, brother?
I'm actually in the market for a car, so I'm going to take a look at this.
Yes, you should. Yeah, and they're changing the way you look at comp and collision. You'll still need to carry liability, but it's a really good way to look at it. So definitely check it out. You can sign up as an affiliate, or just check it out under our guys and support our new partners here at One Llama. One thing I also wanted to talk about is we have a new product coming out. The Beacon Challenge. We've just created something completely different here at Beacon. It's a challenge to help you earn your first dollar in DeFi within 48 hours, and then show you exactly how to scale that into consistent returns. Now, the video that's here at the link at beacondefi.io/challenge will explain everything, and we're going to have to take it down when it fills up. So watch it right now. I'm here in the banner, or if you're listening to us on the podcast or on Twitter, beacondefi.io/challenge. And take the challenge. Take the challenge.
Do it.
Do it. Really excited about that product. Really excited for you all to sign up and check it out. So let's talk about Endgame.
Let's do it.
This is happening on Friday, the 25th. Goes for 2 days. It's going to be in Austin, Texas, at Distribution Hall. Very inexpensive tickets. If you happen to be in the area, you want to check it out. Or if you just want to.
Event.
Oh, it's a not-for-profit event. Oh, never mind.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, that's why they're so cheap.
There's going to be 40 keynotes and panels, 20 speakers, 400 plus builders, and a hackathon. For those of you who are not aware what Bittensor is, it started out, at least this is the way I know it, as a decentralized AI platform. I remember they were working with a cache to really just kind of get that architecture set up. And I mean, it has completely transformed into what I consider the future of possibly the way that we live as a community with digital assets. They have these subnets, and I'll talk about some of them, using Tau stats. I found this one, Luke. It's actually pretty cool. They list all of the subnets that are available, and each one of these subnets is just a project that has an economic incentive to help produce and do good things for Bittensor. And there's theoretically 128, but right now there's roughly about 80 that are active, because there's some that are not active. But I'll leave that up to you. Continue the pitch if you don't mind, and let the community know more about Bittensor.
Yeah, man. I mean, I kind of, you touched on the fact that you talked about decentralized AI, but I kind of think about Bittensor, as well as Arash, our CEO, does, as more of a network to produce super commodities. So, I mean, that's obviously what we're
Ooh, I
doing.
like
Is you
that.
kind of you're using the Bittensor network as a blockchain layer to create a commodity. So for in our example, it's trading. We're building an automated trading platform using our subnet as the underlying tech. But you see this in a lot of subnets. There's so many brilliant minds building, and with the advent of DTAO now, if you're not producing those commodities, you're not providing a real world use case for individuals to take advantage of, your subnet is going to fail. It's just the matter of, it's just the reality of what Bittensor is now, and that was what the vision always was: produce valuable commodities, or you will be removed from the network. You can see that reflected in the weights, and the emissions. Shoots is doing really phenomenal things. I actually need to look into them a little bit more, so I'm excited to kind of talk to some of their folks there. I'm sure that they will be um, at the Endgame event. So I think it'll be a really cool opportunity for us to kind of all get together in one place, but all of these great minds working so hard to produce so many unique commodities on Bittensor. So it's going to be a really cool event, man. So many great minds you saw on that speaker page on Endgame. These guys are all geniuses. So
Yeah,
it's
so
gonna be cool.
serverless AI compute. That's interesting.
We have our guy Thomas Doherty, our manager of R&D, is going to be speaking on 2 panels about decentralized finance and trading. So that should be cool. But there's a ton of different keynotes. So I
Yeah.
believe everything is going to be professionally recorded. I don't know if it'll be live streamed, but should be a lot of cool takeaways to see after the event. A lot of good content coming out of this. So
Yeah, and just to
we get barbecue.
exactly, barbecue's amazing. Looking at some of the different subnets that are here, we have things like Open Cato, which drives Cato AI. You have Infinite Games, you have Sports Tensor. So there's a lot of data pipelining going on here to power, as you said, commodities, to power Web3 moving forward. And I think that's the key goal here, that I think I'm actually really bullish on, is the idea that creating different commodities through all of these subnets is going to be
Right.
something that is really great. I mean, I would love to be able to find a way to become an education subnet, to be honest, because I do think that would be a great incentivized way to get people to learn more about DeFi and whatnot. Nobody steal my idea, please. And there's a whole bunch of different things here that people are using. I'm looking for Synth. Yeah, Synth is from Mode. That's a layer 2 blockchain on the OP superchain. They're doing this specifically for AI agent moves. And then there was one that Ken was trying to get me onto, Bit Audio, that's doing, I guess, some type
Bitmine,
of
maybe Bitmine.
Bitmind.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Was that it?
there's one that's doing like audio type of stuff, which I thought was kind of interesting. So
There's so many use cases. It should really be infinite. And if Bittensor does what a lot of Bittensor bulls think it will, it'll be Bitcoin, Bittensor, and then everything else. Which I think that, given that a lot of crypto is vaporware, to some extent, unfortunately, and you can kind of see in this instance, each subnet really could be its own blockchain project worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, depending on what they're doing. If you're able to produce a valuable commodity, that's the way I kind of look at it. So then you take all of these subnets, you put it under one umbrella. That's Bittensor.
love it. No, I love the idea of having, as you mentioned, supercharged commodities and different groups, different subnets taking advantage of that. And really, to your point, since most of these subnets have their own tokens at this point, they kind of are blockchains in a way.
Right.
when you look at it from that standpoint. So really interested to kind of just really dive in and seeing what everybody's building. I'm really excited to learn more about some of these in particular and what they do. So as you mentioned, there's an emission, right? There's an emission percentage. So the better you guys are doing at building commodities, the more tau you guys receive. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that is for subnet owner emissions, I believe, with
Hmm.
DTAL. So, for example, in our case, we would receive 18%. It would be 18% of the theta given to our subnet every day, which is a function of that 7.65, it looks like, percent of emissions.
Okay.
So, yeah, so obviously, the higher the emissions, that means just the more alpha tokens people have put into your subnet. So obviously, Shoots is at the top. They have the highest market cap based on their alpha token volume.
Right. Yeah, this is really cool to see. Just a lot of groups working together towards
Yeah,
one common goal. And
Lo-
yeah,
lots
this
of
is
lo- lots of
go ahead.
really phenomenal subnets, especially in the top 15, and a
Hmm.
lot more coming on and building. And you'll see those, I think, rise as time goes on. I think you've seen some too that have been a little bit scammy. It seems like I haven't done my full diligence, admittedly, on it, but I guess that kind of pops up in every crypto ecosystem. I think
Hmm.
Sports Tensor is definitely one that deserves some more recognition with
Nice.
what they're building. I
Yeah,
mean,
and this
I'm
is
also just a sports fan. I
same.
dabble on FanDuel occasionally. So
Not Prize Picks or DraftKings. Is FanDuel for you?
yeah, I prefer FanDuel. I think DraftKings UI sucks.
Yeah, okay.
That's just preference, though.
No, I have yet to use one, so I'm actually very curious to see. So, um, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is there's probably a lot of AI agents now that are out there that are trying to get started that use a lot of this pipelining. So, uh, yeah, we talk a lot about how the future of DeFi is abstracted away from you. You're not going to know what chain you're on. You're not going to know where your data comes from, and frankly, you don't care because it's all about the experience for you at that level. And most of what's being built now is meant to abstract or take that experience away from you, so you don't have to worry about it. What I will say is, if you're interested in yield with the subnets, you can actually stake at most of these validators, um, Tau and DTAU. And I'll talk more with Robert from Talisman, who's also on panel normally, about how to do that within their wallet. They Because I don't know a ton about these, but seeing some of the APYs on some of this stuff is quite interesting. Do you know much about this, Luke, at all?
I know a bit, yeah. I think because of the early state of detail and the fact that emissions are so high, because it has the same emission structure as Bitcoin and Tau itself,
Hmm.
you can stake to some of these validators and get a really high API. You can actually see our Glitch Financial validator is right there near the top. We have a 0% take validator, meaning we give all of the rewards back to our stakeholders. So that generates a higher API than some of the other ones. As far as Roundtable 21, another great option. They're one of their, I think, our only validator that we're partners with and we work directly with. So I fully
Okay.
endorse them too. If you're going to stake with us, stake with Roundtable 21. Can't go wrong.
Wow, 1 month APY on staking your. This is staking Tower detail.
Staking your alpha token. So in our case, it's theta.
Oh, okay. Oh, then
Yeah. So
because that's your
So
token, right? Right.
yeah, so if you purchase an alpha token, in our case it'd be theta, you swap your tau for theta, then you can stake to a validator and get that APY, which it's not, as far as I know, it's not a scam. It's just you see that really high APY. It's just a product of the current emission schedule on DTAL because we're so early still. So
Sure.
you're able to kind of reap those rewards, and then
Yep.
over time the APY should
They will
increase.
definitely go down.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if you
like I
want to be
think,
early and you want to farm something that is not going anywhere, right, Luke?
hey, no plans from us going anywhere.
That's right. Yeah, I'm bullish on Bittensor. So if you guys are looking for something to get into that should be here for a while, producing really cool projects. I mean, we're miles away from Fartcoin in this
Yeah,
case.
it's the
Uh,
exact opposite.
the exact opposite.
Yeah, I'm
So
all for
yeah,
Fartcoin though. All for it.
fair enough. yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, Glitch. Uh, I know you guys are still in the later stages. I need to actually jump on and start doing some beta testing myself. But yeah,
We get you hooked up.
really, really happy to see this. Really happy to meet all of the teams. I'm assuming that a lot of these validators will also be there this weekend, hopefully, in some manner, and we'll do our best to try and meet up with as many of them and get them to work with us on education, because I think that when you look at something like this, an ecosystem like Bittensor, there is something to be said. And I'm pulling up the docs here, but there's something to be said for well thought out ideas. And I really do think that Bittensor, especially with the subnets and what they're building, are specifically well thought out ideas. I'm in the Discord. I've been in the Discord for almost a year. I think I'm more than that, actually. Listening to things that they're building, and I'm always impressed. I mean, there's something interesting being built here. So coming in here, you're on the ground floor. There are a lot of people who speculated pushing, Tau up to like $800 at some point. We're obviously here in the mid 300s, but I think there's room to run just on the fact that they're doing so much more now. These subnets are out there. They're all doing independent work. They're working to make sure that they're incentivized to work thanks to this emission of Tau tokens. So
Yeah, I would say there's not an ecosystem in crypto that doesn't have or that has more bright minds in it than Bittensor. I mean, we have a team of 20 plus at Taoshi working to build PTN and Glitch Financial. Macrocosmos is another big team. Don't quote me, but I believe they are the creators of Shoots, and then they have 3 other subnets. I mean,
wow.
there's a ton really bright minds, all working collectively towards the same goal through different ideas, whether it's serverless AI compute like Shoots, trading with us, some of these there's so many, I don't even know all the use cases. I couldn't rattle them off if I tried.
No, that's a fair point. But I'm excited to see you guys this weekend. I'm excited to see what Bittensor is cooking, and I'm excited to share with the group everything they need to know to get in. The EVM sidechain, that whole project is still moving, and hopefully we get a much easier onboarding experience into Bittensor from here. But Talisman with their wallet, Robert, who's been on panel, he represents them. Excited to meet with their team to learn more about how to easily get in that, because you can stake Tau, DTau, and whatever else from directly in the wallet. So I'm excited to check them out and learn more about what's going on. So yeah, if you're wanting to do some research on something I think is going to be a major force in decentralized AI and probably in all of DeFi moving forward, check out Bittensor. Simple as that. Anything you want to wrap up with, Luke, before we head home?
No, I think you summarized it perfectly. I think I think what we're building is great. A lot of other subnets are building great things too. If you're interested, there's use cases for everyone, which means if there's a token or subnet you believe in and what they're building, I mean, by all means, obviously do your research. But if you believe in the general mission, I think Tau itself is a great option if you're looking to just buy a token. Then you kind of get exposure to the entire ecosystem as a whole. So can't go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Luke, thanks for joining us today. I know it's been a little bit since you've been on the show.
Absolutely.
Feel free to plug what you like,
pleasure.
sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got nothing. Follow us on socials, Taoshi Glitch Financial, sign up for our beta waitlist if you're interested in an automated trading platform. And I think, the results speak for themselves. I don't have to, I'll let our product do the talking.
Love it. Yeah, I'll make sure if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, I'll put it in the responses so you can check out the project itself. It's at Glitch Financial and at Taoshi_IO, right? I think is what it is.
Taoshi.io, no space.
Yeah, Taoshi.io. Yep.
We gotta get you in the beta, Chris. I think it's time for you to come onto the beta.
I want to say that I'm in the beta. I haven't taken the time to actually get in. I'll double check.
No, we have a wait list with like 1,500 people, but we've only invited, I want to say 40 or so right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, you guys are still very early in the beta phase then.
Yeah, we need to do a slow, controlled rollout to ensure just proper functionality, trading working right. Yeah, you only get one chance when you got people's money on the line, so we want to make sure we do it right, protect user funds.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff going on out there. Stay safe, guys. That was one thing I was going to talk about today as well, is about just staying safe. Check on links. Do due diligence on people who reach out to you. And you and I talked about this, Luke. There are people out there, trying to actively get you to do things to drain your wallets, regardless if you're just a regular investor or if you're in our position as founders of projects in this space. Just be very careful. Be safe and secure. And of course, if you want to learn more, check us out, school.com/beacon. We're here every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on all of the wonderful icons you see here below. You can check out, of course, our free group at Total Value Lock, TVL, school.com/beacon. We won't be having a community training this Friday because I will be in Austin for Bittensor Endgame. But if I'll make a post or two to kind of talk about what I'm seeing and the things to look forward to from Bittensor moving forward. So we've done a form of this show every Wednesday since December 2021, guys. So please, if you like what you're hearing, follow us on the podcast, like and subscribe on Twitter, on I don't know where else you're going, YouTube, Twitch, Stream.tv. Shout out to everybody over there. We're getting quite a few followers of Stream.tv. So thanks everybody over there. And we'll see you on the next episode. As we say here all the time, 07, beacons up, banks down. Take care, everybody. We'll see you later. Let's get some barbecue.